Hello, hello, hello. I am Calgar,
Hello. I'm Thundermice. How's it going?
and we are the Inconsolables. Back again to tell you things about stuff.
And things.
Yep, yep,
Yeah.
things too. That's...
Yep. I'm sorry.
well, that really sets the tone for tonight, doesn't it? Just, we're silly. Well, there are a lot of things to talk about, so shall we get straight into it?
Let's get straight into it. Who's going to start first? Will it be me or will it be you?
If I had a coin to flip, I'd flip it. But I'll just start by saying, Cuphead got delayed to next year, and that makes me sad.
Okay. For those that do not know, what is Cuphead?
So, Cuphead is a side-scrolling platformer game where you are literally a cup on legs. It is pretty much what the name implies. But
It is... Sorry, I was just going to add on to it there. Just so we can both talk. How
Never.
rude.
Never.
Never. But yes, it is also animated in the old cartoon styles of, I guess, the 80s? Maybe, no, not 80s.
Oh, it is much,
This is much older,
earlier.
like 50s, 60s. This is just as colour just came in, maybe.
It looks like you're playing
Steamboat Mickey.
Steamboat Willie, exactly. Like the really old Mickey Mouse cartoons art style. And it's all hand-drawn, and it looks gorgeous.
It really is. I played a bit at last year's PAX, and it's
also
quite good.
really hard.
Oh, those boss fights.
The game seems to be mostly boss fights, from what I could tell.
Yeah, I heard about that, but that might just be because you're constantly dying and constantly needing to fight them over and over and over and over and over again.
Yeah, that's probably what's going on. I mean, you spend more time on the bosses than the levels, because the bosses are ridiculous.
However, that might be a reason why they're delaying it, to try to add extensions to the levels.
Maybe, maybe not. I mean,
We don't know.
either or. It's instead of it, they were gonna try to release late this year. They were discussing reducing the scope and decided, nah, fuck it. let's keep everything in and just push the date back. So it's mid next year that it comes out now.
That's quite a bit of a wait, but what are you going to do?
Well, they pushed it back enough to make it so that they could keep everything they wanted in. So they're not compromising their vision for the game.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens when it comes out.
Yeah, I mean, it was looking really good and it was fun, so that's always good. So yeah. That's a thing. And hey, it'd be something that those poor people who bought an Xbox One can play.
Pretty much everyone at my work has an Xbox One, and I'm the lone person that owns everything but the Xbox One.
Yeah, well, no one at my work has an Xbox One, so... And only a couple of us have PS4s. Everyone's PC, so...
Fair enough. PC Master Race for the win.
Well, yeah, it's going to be on Xbox One and on Windows as well. It's on Steam too, so, it's enough people can play it.
You can't see it, but I'm raising my fist in the air.
Why?
Because PC Master Race.
It's coming to PC, though.
Yes, indeed.
Do you have some news?
Okay, so I haven't been paying that much attention to news this week because I've been playing lots and lots and lots of games.
Well,
I've been talking about VR, but that'll be a little bit later. Let's start off with some demos this week.
Uh-huh.
So let's talk about Dragonball Xenoverse 2 first, which I know Calguy here probably doesn't have that much interest for. But for everyone that actually does like Dragon Ball Z and has played Xenoverse 1, I can tell you this is much, much improved over Xenoverse 1.
Hey, to be fair, I love Dragon Ball Z. It's just I've stopped playing Dragon Ball Z games.
Yes. I'm sorry. But, yeah, much improved over Xenoverse 1 gameplay-wise. The controls feel much better. The moves seem to connect. Like, they just feel better. They connect a lot better in combat. They've given you a few more abilities, like being able to dash around the back of an opponent. That feels really good. Lots of transformations. Let's talk about transformations for a minute.
So it is pretty much you are in the anime.
Yes and no, because, like as I said, lots of transformations, and that's including humans with transformations.
What? Why?
But it's not what you think. They don't actually get like a transformation. They more get a Nimbus Cloud and the extending pole.
Oh, okay. So they can fly around and they can bap you across from the other side of the arena or something.
Yeah, so it gives them something to combat the Super Saiyan, which, if you remember in Xenoverse 1, Super Saiyan basically, you went Super Saiyan and you had infinite ki,
Okay.
which for online play was annoying. It's pretty much really OP. Xenoverse 1, Xenoverse 2 pretty much makes it, you know, how like every other Dragon Ball Z game ever did it, where it's actually a power up. You get stat boosts, and it drains, and it lasts for however long your key energy lasts.
Okay, so does it feel more balanced as a result, or is it just different?
Well, because in the last one, it used up one of your ultimate attacks, and pretty much you had infinite key. You could spam ultimate attacks with that thing.
Ugh.
Yeah. You had to be smart how to use it, but basically it turned Xenoverse 1 kind of into... Using energy attacks was the best way to go in that. Melee fighting was really hard to do.
Oh, so it's like ultimate spam the game.
Yeah, a little bit. Like, not even just ultimates, just even key attacks. Key attacks were where it was.
Ugh.
It was where it was at. But this
Oh,
one,
good.
like, that's another reason why they added this dash attack that allows you to go behind them, so so it makes melee combat more viable.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. So it is more balanced then. That's the short
Yes.
version.
So let's go through transformations here, because this
Alright.
is all like this is a lot of stuff that they listen to the fans and have fixed them up because this is what like the critique from the first game. Anyway, transformations. Earthlings get the Nimbus Cloud. Namex can turn into giant Namex.
Giant Namex? Like,
Yes.
like Giant King Piccolo?
Yes.
That's cool.
The Boo Rays can turn into Kid Boo.
Oh, okay. Wait, so
So-
I can't remember. I never got that, like, those last bits of Dragon Ball Z I kind of never got around to watching. Is Kid
Oh,
Boo
really?
stronger than Big Boo?
Yes, technically yes. Like, according to the show, if I remember correctly, his power was technically weaker, but because he was insane and pure evil, he was stronger just because he just didn't give a shit.
So it's sort of like more focused power. He's using it specifically as opposed to being stronger, but not actually sort of concentrating on what he's doing, I guess.
Yeah, it's just a crazy evil. Like, this being would blow up planets, blowing himself up, and then just reforming.
Okay, so it's chaotic evil.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so.
Oh,
But anyway,
good.
so the Boo race can now transform into Kid Boo. Saiyans
Fun.
obviously have all the Super Saiyan transformations, which
do they have the ones from Super?
Not sure yet, but they do have characters from Super.
Okay, so you might go Super Saiyan God at some point then.
Yeah, most likely. I don't see why not.
So-
Let's see, where was I? Frieza race could go Gold Frieza.
Yes. Oh, if they got Gold Frieza, then they'd have to do Blue Super Saiyan.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And have I done all the races? Let's see,
Unless there's like an
Earthling,
extra race that I don't know
Namek.
about.
I'm pretty sure I've done all the races.
Human Namek, Boo, Frieza.
And yeah, the stats for the races seem similar to the last game, where Saiyans are low health powerhouses. Namex seem to be they have health regen and stamina regen and can use items more efficiently.
Oh yeah.
Boo Rays are pretty much tanks. They have large health pools.
Oh yeah.
Earthlings are balanced. Pretty much, I think I covered everyone again.
Yeah. Oh, well, This is starting to sound like I should have a look at this one. Actually, I mean, if it's more balanced than before, and a bunch of you guys are going to be playing it, then I might give it a look.
Yeah, and it's multiplayer because Xenoverse is a pseudo MMO.
Yeah, fair enough.
Also, some of the attacks seem a lot more cinematic, in my opinion, which to me makes it better. There's one attack in particular that I really enjoyed. I think it was called the God Punch, where it's literally it's attached to it's one of your supers. You use it. It's basically this key covered punch. You punch him in the face, and then it zooms into the face, so you can see the fist like land and engrave of like the shape of the fist into their face. It was like,
Oh,
yes.
Yeah, see, I've always been a bit funny with cutscenes in the middle of a fighting game because it's a sort of if it's in the middle of a fight, they have to be short, otherwise you lose the flow of combat. You know?
Yeah, these are very short, and generally when it goes in cinematic, it's because your move actually requires a charge to begin with anyway.
Yeah, fair
Like,
enough. How
go-
short is short though? In
Um,
this case,
Well, for the super punch, it was very short. It was literally like probably a 1 second clip, very
Okay.
short.
Yeah, so maybe
so
like
wait,
Street Fighter 5 length or something.
yeah. Transformations, they always take like a few seconds, but you get invincibility frames when you're doing that.
Oh, but that's not a cutscene, is it? Like, are they able to punch
well,
you? If I'm turning Super Saiyan, are you able to punch me in the face and
no.
try to
So
prevent
you
it?
get invincibility frames. I just mean by it usually moves the camera into a position where it looks cinematic
Oh, okay.
for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, just a little other things. The story is continuing on from Xenoverse 1, so if you want to know everything, probably finish Xenoverse 1, especially since it carries over data from Xenoverse 1,
Oh, great.
and it uses your hero from Xenoverse 1.
Oh,
Like,
okay, now
actually,
that's cool.
actually in your story. He actually appears and does stuff in your story from what I've seen on the demo.
Okay, well, if I grab Xenoverse 2, I probably still won't bother with 1, purely
Yeah.
on the time factor. I mean, I've got too many other things. We've got plenty of games to talk about today that we've both played, and there've been lots of different things, so, you know,
Yep.
I'm
And-
playing a lot more different stuff at the moment, and it's release period. There's heaps of stuff coming out, like Civilization 6 is this week. That's gonna suck hours of my life, and you know it.
Yeah, last few things. Story-wise, like in Xenoverse 1, you're basically wished from the dragon to be this hero that could save time, if I remember correctly. And yeah, pretty much you teamed up with Trunks and the Kai of Time, the Great Kai of Time. I can't remember her name. I'm sorry.
So you're time police.
Yeah, well, actually, this one more so. There's actually now a time patrol and actually a school, and your character is actually part of that school.
Oh, okay.
And there's lots of little locations that are from the anime. So you can go visit Hercule's house, you can go visit Frieza's spaceship, you can go see Master Roshi's house.
Kame House.
Yeah, Kame House, Capsule Corp, and these are usually like specific areas where you get some more quests. So, for example, Hercule's house is really good for human players, Earthlings, because you can still take these quests as anyone, but humans get more zenny out of it. Go to Hercule's house, which is to be his bodyguard.
Fair enough. So hold up a moment.
Yes.
You're saying that you can go to all these places and get quests and stuff. So is
Yeah.
it open world?
No, it's still kind of like Xenoverse 1, where it's lots of enclosed areas.
Okay, I was gonna say like open world Dragon Ball Z would be sold. Like
Yeah,
as much as I love to rag on open world, give me the right open world, and I'm in. Yeah.
Okay, so basically you're in Toki Toki. I don't remember if that's the actual name of it. That might be the original name or the new name, because apparently the name of the city that you're in has changed
Okay.
for Xenoverse 2. Anyway, these like Hercule's house, Frieza ship, they call them like time pockets or time rifts, and basically you just go visit these little bubbles of these things.
Okay, so it's like I want to go to Hercule's house. Bam, I'm there. I can go wander around his house a bit.
And it's kind of like his house floating in a bubble kind of thing.
Okay, yeah. Well, that works, I guess, for the setting and everything. So, I mean, open world could be interesting, but at the same time, open world is open world, so it probably wouldn't be.
Yeah, but yeah, let's just quickly run down this. Hercule's house, Earthlings earn more money.
Yep.
Guru's house, for Namekians, you earn more items faster.
Right, Super Kami Guru.
Yeah, Super Kami Guru.
Alright, cool.
Frieza's spaceship, there's a group called the Frieza Corps, so you basically join the Frieza Corps, and it seems like you get more missions, if I read it correctly.
Okay, yeah, guess that works.
Capsule Corps, pretty much you get missions, I think, training missions from Vegeta, and if you're Saiyan, you get more missions from Vegeta.
Alright.
And Majin Buu, being the strangest one, you give him stuff, I think you feed him, and then he creates family members.
What?
He plops out family members, and then they go out get you items.
I don't think that's how childbirth works.
Yeah, something like that. But yeah, depending on the colour of their clothes, these children Buu, they get you different items.
That's weird.
So yeah, it's a bit weird. I think that's their explanation of how there's a Buu race. It's just that Buu has just popped them all out. Kind of like Guru.
That's disgusting.
It's kind of like Guru, where Guru just like, yeah, I'm the father of all Nameks.
That's also disgusting.
Anyway, so I think that's all I can really think of at the moment. But yeah, the demo is available on PlayStation Network at the moment. If you're a PlayStation Plus member, you can download it for free.
Yay.
Yay, demos!
Well, it might also be on the not so PlayStation ones. I guess we don't know, do we?
I believe it's been in closed beta for a while, but it's just opened up for people on PlayStation Plus.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Well, do you want me to talk about a game I played, or shall I go on to more news? Because there's a few of them.
Well, yeah, I think it's your time to shine, so shine on.
Shine on. Well, I'll go
shine
through the...
on, shine on.
I'll go through the news stuff now, and I'll talk about games I played later, I think.
Okay.
So this one's a relatively short note of news, but it's interesting in that we're going back to Steam for this. So the Steam controller has been a thing for a while, and I mean, I guess we don't really get them in Australia because shipping and all that kind of crap. And honestly, looking at the thing, I think it's dumb. But they have...
I'm just saying, I've heard people pretty much go, like, at first it feels really weird, but once you get used to it, it's really good. But I guess you can say that about any controller. But from what I've heard, it's actually better than it looks.
That's what I keep hearing too, but, you know, it's one of those things that I'm not going to just take some random on the internet's word for it, and I can't get one myself because they're a pain to get any of Steam's stuff out here. I had to order my Steam Link through Amazon because Valve themselves won't ship to Australia because Australia doesn't exist, right?
Yeah, true
so
enough.
I'm just like, forget it. I'm not going to pay extra for a controller when I can use all of my other controllers.
Yeah, true enough. Why buy another controller when we've already got Xbox controllers, PlayStation 4 controllers?
And that's exactly where I'm going with this. Because Steam has this setting where, you know, you can put in... people can set up controls for themselves, usually for the Steam controller, but it works for others. And Steam is soon going to be supporting the DualShock 4, or the PlayStation 4 controller, natively. So you're not going to need to mess around with drivers and stuff.
Yeah, I saw the article on this, and I went looking for a release date for this update, and I can't find it anywhere. They haven't said anything about it.
No, they haven't said anything about it. They just said it's coming. Basically, last week there was an event on called Steam Dev Days, and it is just a bunch of developers. Like it's a development conference for Steam stuff. So people who are putting games on Steam have their APIs for things. So it's how people write the code for things like achievements, trading cards, etc., etc. And this controller API they were talking about, one of the talks was about their controller API. And they did mention during that controller API that the DualShock 4 is soon going to get native support for it. Basically, the DualShock 4 does work with it now, particularly if you've got a Steam Link. It connects by that wirelessly and it's glorious. But they're expanding its configurability and allows you to use the touchpad and gyro natively on Steam, which is stuff that you can't do in the PS4 without getting external drivers yet. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, so that will be really good, actually. Like, being able to use that touchpad, and actually it acts as another button as well, because you've got usually 2 clicks on each side. Like, you got 1 click on one side, on the right, and 1 click on the left.
Yeah, now...
Typically. And, yeah, then it's also a touchpad, so you've got a lot of things you can do with that.
Yeah, and they also said they are going to be doing support for other controllers as well, so, you know, Xbox and stuff, that'll come. The reason they're doing the PS4 first is because the Steam controller shares a lot of functionality with the PS4 controller. So, stuff that they're already supporting on the Steam controller, it's got a gyro in it apparently, and it's got, you know, its right stick is kind of touchpad tech anyway, so a lot of this stuff's already there. They just need to kind of point it to work with the DualShock 4. So that's why that's coming first. I did read parts of an extremely long article. Basically, it was just a rundown word for word of the entire of the talk, and it gets very heavy technical wise. It's a lot about code and why you would use Steam's controller API rather than other coding systems to get your controls. So I won't go into that because, frankly, it is a coder thing. But what we can take from it is, well, PlayStation 4 controllers will work natively soon, so that's a nice bonus.
Okay, well, thank you for decoding that for us. But yeah, on a personal level, just, I guess, subjective opinion.
Well, that's what opinions are.
Yes, it's subjective. Ha ha ha. On a personal level, I enjoy using the PlayStation 4 controller a little bit more than the Xbox One. Now, I like to feel the Xbox One controller more, but I don't like the shoulder buttons. The trigger buttons are fine, but there's something weird to me about the shoulder buttons, but that's just my personal opinion.
Are you playing with your controller now?
Yes.
Fair enough.
I have to touch things. I need to touch things. That's why I bump things all the time.
Well, let's just let that comment hang in the air for a moment.
Why leave it hanging? Just go for it, bro.
No.
Fine.
I agree with you on the PlayStation 4 controller thing though. Like the Xbox controller, it's never clicked with me. The PS4 controller's always worked a lot. Like even the PS3, PS2, PS1, like to me it felt like Sony got the controller right the first time, and all they've done is just been kind of iterating it. I mean, need I remind you of the monstrosity that was the original Xbox controller? I have big hands. I have really big hands. That controller was still too big for my hands.
Alright.
That's ridiculous. Microsoft, sort your shit out. Actually, they did. That's why they changed the controller design completely.
As I said, I do like the feel of the Xbox controller. There's something about the Xbox One's bumpers that just don't feel right to me. Like, I was playing Gungeon with it, and it's asking me to click a lot with the right bumper. And it feels like I can't click it as fast as I would like to for that game. It feels like it just doesn't feel right.
I do remember hearing something about that from other people as well, actually. It's sort of, you're not supposed to be using your entire finger for it or something. I don't know. It's like, it's one of those, when you get used to it, it's better situations of like, well, I have no reason to get used to it. I don't need an Xbox One controller. I've got my PS4 ones that come with that console, and now I'm going to have native support for that on Steam, and it already had good enough support for it on the Steam Link, so I'm good.
We're all
golden.
Good.
I'm golden.
Well, I think we should move on to the next topic, because we've been talking about controllers for quite a while now.
Well, controllers are good. But what do you have for me then?
Well, speaking of peripherals, I could talk about the PlayStation VR.
Well, do so.
Because essentially that's been, apart from Dragon Ball Z, all I've been playing this weekend.
Well, yeah, that's because you got one.
Yes.
You spent the money and bought a PlayStation VR, which made me very happy because it meant I didn't have to spend $600 on one.
Yep, so if you're following us on our Facebook page, you probably saw a few videos that we put up of us playing around on the night I got it.
That video of me playing Drive Club on it made me so happy to watch that back.
Yeah,
I'm glad you got footage of that.
Sticking your head through the couch just to try to look in the pipes in the car.
Worth.
Yes. Just get back in the chair. That's what I asked you to do. Just get back in the chair.
No, I'm going to test the limits of the system I've given.
No.
You're not my real dad.
Maybe I am.
You're not. I know my real dad, and he is not you.
Well. So, the PlayStation VR. The PlayStation VR is obviously a headset. It looks more like a visor, so it doesn't have any straps like how the Vive and Oculus have that go over your head. It's a visor that stretches out, and you fit it over your head, and it pretty much clamps down on your head. And then you've got a little twisty knob at the back that tightens over your head, and it actually feels really comfortable. I don't know what they've done. I guess they just balanced it right, but to me, I could wear it for a couple of hours, and as long as I'm not playing a game that actually needs me to dive and dodge everything, I don't get tired from wearing it.
Well, yeah, I mean, I was impressed with how well it worked with my glasses on. I mean, I'd rather not have to take them off if I'm going to play a game, because I'd like to be able to see the game I'm playing, you know?
And the PlayStation VR is the only VR system that allows you to wear glasses while playing VR.
From what I understand, yeah, that's the case, which is kind of upsetting. It's like, why would I bother with a Vive or an Oculus? Because if they won't work with my glasses, then there's no point. I won't be able to see the thing I'm playing, and then I just have an expensive paperweight.
PlayStation VR here in Australia cost me about $560. You also need a PlayStation camera to use it. That's another $80. You can probably get down a little bit if you buy it pre-owned.
Yep.
And Move controls, which this is actually a little bit of news. Move controls, which are sold out until 2017.
Yay.
But yeah, Move controllers are required for some games, not all of them. Most games support Move and DualShock control for your motion controls.
Well, talk about a couple of the games you played, because I got to play it a bit. I mean, there's video of me, evidence of me crawling around on the floor like a cat, and then
Yes.
attacking the couch with my face.
Meow.
Yeah, and
Meow.
then, well, the less said about Thumper, the better. It's funny, I'm seeing good reviews on that, but it really did my head in, that game.
Yeah, it didn't affect me so much, so I did enjoy it, but we'll talk about that a little bit later.
Well, yeah.
First, let's jump into the demo. So the demo disc, first thing you do is you put it in, and then it goes update, and you get a 6 gig update.
Well done.
So I've gone, yeah, okay, I'll just start it, you can update in the background, whatever. So I went in to start one of the games. I've tried to jump into Valkyrie, and it goes, okay, installing.
Installing a demo?
Yes.
Oh, fuck off.
Like, I can understand, like, nowadays, like, these games are massive, but I just, like, I miss the old days of demos. Just put it in, and it works.
It's a goddamn demo. That should be working straight off the bat. That's fucked.
Oh, well, like...
Nah.
As... So, yeah. And
that
for us
said,
Australians,
if Valkyrie's demo was cool.
Yeah. And for us Australians, another add-on is 36 gigs for all the demos.
Oh.
So we gotta download, if you want all the demos, like Russian Blood, all the other ones are on there.
Resident Evil.
Resident Evil. Those type
Harmonix,
of games.
Harmonix Music.
Yeah, Harmonix Music. They're all a part of that extra download that you have to go to the PlayStation Store to download.
Yeah, so... Well, it's the same problem I was talking about last week with COD, you know? That COD will take 4 months if you're on a particularly bad plan.
Okay, so let's jump into VR Worlds. I played, I think, 2 of the ones that are in VR Worlds because I got annoyed because every time you finish one of the VR Worlds demos, VR World is a bunch of minigames. Think of Wii Sports Resort. Or Wii Sports.
So, wait, do VR Worlds come with the VR headset?
No, it's a demo.
Oh, okay.
The thing that comes with VR is the VR Playroom, which
you
have to download.
Yeah.
Which you have to download anyway.
Oh, okay, but at least it's like it's a full game that comes with it. It's not like you've got the headset and then the demo disc and then nothing to play.
Yeah. But yeah, VR World. So I played the aquatic dive one, which is basically you're sitting in a cage and you enjoy the wonders of the sea while you're in VR.
Are you telling me you got in the sea?
I got in the sea. I really did.
The amount of times I've told you to get in the sea, you didn't tell me until now that you actually took my advice.
But it was quite relaxing. I enjoyed it, and if you actually bought the full game, you get a scene where there's a shark attack. That's one of the big selling points for that one.
That's not so relaxing. But hey Paul, later on, can you let me get in the sea?
Yes, I could.
Yay!
But no.
So VR Worlds Get in the Sea was good. Next.
Let's see.
Let's see.
How
in the sea?
Yeah, this says a lot. I can't remember the other one I played.
That's really not a good sign, is it?
It's not really.
Well, then moving along, skipping that because it's obviously bad.
Yeah, no, I just can't remember. I just think it was probably just so whatever. I just don't remember. I can't remember if I played Mafia. Was it Mafia? I've seen lots of videos of Mafia, which is basically, yeah, that actually is the one I played, Mafia. And the reason why it's just dropped out of my mind because all it was a shooting range.
Okay, that's boring as shit. Particularly when you got Russian Blood.
Yeah, so I was just basically aiming a controller, shooting at things. I was like, okay. Like in the full game, you'll have moments where you're in a car and like there's bikes chasing you. You gotta shoot the people on the bikes, and you have to use your other move controller. So this is if you're using 2 move controllers. Yeah. One controller you're shooting, and the other one is your hand. So you have to go grab a brain, stop working.
You have to reload your gun with the other move controller or something?
Yeah, essentially you gotta grab ammo with the other hand and then slam them together.
That sounds unwieldy.
But yeah, it's kind of a gimmick.
Yeah, tech demo. Woohoo.
Tech demo. So yeah, that's all I really played on VR Worlds. There's Luge.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so that would be fun. But as I said, at this point I got annoyed with every time I played one of these demos, it kicks me right back to the VR choose your game thing. So I have to jump back into VR World and then once again choose one of the demos in there.
Oh,
So
yeah,
it's a demo within a demo.
that's not very well designed. Yeah.
Demo within a demo. Boom!
Sony, sort your shit out, man.
Um,
And women.
so moving on, you played Drive Club. I actually haven't played that yet, but I was like, okay, driving game in VR.
You saw Drive Club. Okay, so Drive Club, those who don't know it, Drive Club is a game that already exists on the PlayStation, and it is about car racing. And not, well, okay, disclaimer, I'm not that interested in car racing games. It's one of the few types of game that I just can't get into. There are exceptions. Those exceptions are Wipeout and Burnout. Pretty much
Need for Speed!
Nah.
The older ones. I really liked Need for Speed Most Wanted. That was my favourite.
I can't remember. There was one other racing game of one of the other types that let me blow up buildings while I was racing, but it was sort of like a spin-off. I can't remember if it was Need for Speed or Ridge Race. It would have been Ridge Race. It was on PC.
Well, I don't know about that one, but Destruction Derby.
Well, yeah. Basically, if you want to keep my attention in a car racing game, there has to be some element of combat or, well, yeah, I suppose that's about it. Like Burnout, you ram cars off the road, get turbo, you get rewarded for being aggressive and driving like a jerk. Wipeout, it's super fast. You get weapons. You shoot each other. Same with like Interstate 76. Destruction Derby, the entire point is to run each other off the road. Like, it's got to be... Gran Turismo doesn't interest me, and as such, neither does Drive Club. But I played the VR demo of Drive Club thinking, hey, it might be more interesting than the time I tried the original Drive Club, which is just, racing sim. And I played for about 30 seconds and then turned off the PS4 and went to do literally anything else. I think I went outside. Not cool.
Oh god, no,
Yeah.
not the outside with
Yeah,
the
yeah.
birds and the bees and the sun and oh god, it burns.
Yeah, unfortunately it was nighttime, but still, like, Drive Club made me go outside.
Moonburn.
The Drive Club VR, well, there's video evidence. It made me crawl around on the floor like a cat and shove my face into a couch. So that's at least a B. I did finish the race in Drive Club. I did actually play the game eventually, and drove around. Got annoyed because I couldn't go to like third person view. I know it's in VR, but in a car racing game, it feels more natural to me to be behind the car because video games. Which also made running people off the road scary because, like, well, I'm getting into a car accident. I'm in first person.
So yeah, it's basically a racing game in VR.
It's pretty much you're car racing. You're in VR. That.
So yeah, it's cool just for the fact that you're actually sitting in this virtual car. You can use mirrors. Like, the mirrors actually have a use in the video game.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's move on from Drive Club.
I will say I wouldn't buy Drive Club on VR, but that's because I wouldn't buy Drive Club at all.
Yeah.
Like, if it was Burnout VR, yes.
So next I tried Wayward Sky. I found it interesting. It's a point and click kind of adventure where when you're interacting with stuff, it goes into first person, and then you've got a little hand that controls things.
Yep.
I guess I just found it interesting because I don't know. I kind of like playing this game where I'm the camera and move around, and I guess I kind of like that. And then when cinematic stuff happens, it puts you in first person view, so you get to see the things that are happening from that perspective. So it's a neat idea. I would like to see a full-fledged AAA game maybe built in this way.
Yeah,
something that's really interesting.
Yeah, it was interesting to a degree. I mean, I was bored out of my skull watching you play it, but that's just because point-and-click adventure games are not the most exciting thing to watch being played,
Yeah, definitely.
It was interesting in that, like, it feels like it'd be one much more interesting to play than to watch. So, yeah.
While we're on the subject of watching things in VR, I did download this free,
The Miku concert!
No! I wasn't going to mention that! No!
I was always going to mention that.
But yeah, there is a Miku concert thing that you can download for VR. From what I understand, Miku, what was it? Diva 10?
Project Diva.
Project Diva X or 10. Anyway, it allows you to create stage concerts in that game. And you can download them into this separate VR stage thing, so you can actually watch the whole thing happen in VR.
Yay, Miku in VR.
But what I was going to say is I downloaded this game. I think it's called Illumineta.
Alumet?
Illumineta. Well, the whole it seems to be revolving around this concept of light.
Okay, I remember that this was one of the ones on the demo disc we were talking about a few weeks ago when we didn't know what it was. Now we do.
Well, yeah, it's 100% free. Like, it doesn't really mean... I guess being on the demo disc, it gives it some advertisement, so you at least go and try it.
Maybe the entire... If it was free completely, maybe the entire thing's on the demo disc.
It's not.
So our demo disc actually had it?
Yeah, our demo disc had it.
Okay.
I started watching it, and then about 3-4 minutes in, it cut off and go, would you like to watch the rest? And at that point, I assume it downloads the rest of it.
Yeah, fair enough.
Anyway, so I've watched the whole thing, and I found it quite interesting. Imagine watching a clay animation movie where you can watch it at any angle that you want. You can move
cool.
in, move out. I found that quite interesting, and I would like to see a few more things, like experiment with this idea a bit more.
Yeah, that's actually really cool if you can kind of like move your head and look around the set and stuff like that.
Yeah, basically it asks you to stand up while watching this. Like, it's not that long. It's probably 10-15 minutes. I sat down for most of it, but you can stand up, and you're in this town, and I was able to look around this town in a sky, so it had multiple layers as well.
Ah, cool.
And yeah, I could look around, and it was a interesting just take on it. I really enjoyed it.
I might have to give that a look too. It's also on Steam, so I guess it's Vive supported too.
Yeah, I would say without the VR, I probably would not be as interested in it.
So it wasn't like it wasn't a particularly good movie or whatever, or was it just
that? There's no voice acting. It's very like everything is visual, and there's no like major actions. Like there's one kind of scene where like it's really high action, thrilling. Like it's not, I can't say high action, but it's a dangerous scene, and all in all, I guess it's just not fulfilling. It tells it's a very short story, and yeah, it gets what it needs to do across.
Okay, well I guess
it seems to be about this girl dealing with the loss of her mother in a sense, and pretty much keeping the teachings of her mother inside, like learning from what her mother taught her.
Okay.
And yeah, it's kind of a bittersweet type deal.
Fair enough.
Because yeah, it doesn't really have a happy ending.
Well, I might give it a look. But I was just going to say that seems to be a risk if you're putting like film kinds of things into a VR space, because you have the freedom to look where you want, so you can look where the movie isn't. You know, it's like, oh, here are these characters doing all these really cool things or talking about this really interesting stuff. You can just look at the wall if you wanted to. I mean, it's kind of it's the same issue that you see in video games too, right? It's the thing that cutscenes are kind of meant to avoid, right? Like, I'm trying to show you my story for the game.
Funny enough, for me, though, I personally, I'd rather not have cutscenes. I actually like it more when it's happening in real time.
Yeah, like the Half-Life the way where they kind of talking and stuff, and you can ignore them if you like, but you know they are doing the things, and you should probably look at them doing the things. Yeah, that's Half-Life kind of solved it in that way, just going, well, if they don't want to pay the attention to the story, that's fine. But there are points where we need them to do things. Meanwhile, you know, cutscenes usually are try to force the player to look at the thing that they need you to look, that the storyteller wants you to look at. And I suppose that's a risk when you're looking at a VR film. You know, it's entirely possible to just kind of go, this is where the action scene is happening. I'm going to look at this wall.
Yeah, I mean, but I guess
that is willingly avoiding what you're there to experience. It's like, well, I don't want to experience the thing, but at the same time, in a VR space, you can make it look like you are there, and you know, you can have multiple things going on, and like you could have something happening on your left, something happening on your right, and it's like, okay, you could, and you know, multiple playthroughs, so you can actually pay attention and take it all in.
Yeah. Like, for me, it was really interesting just because, like, there was a certain point where there's someone singing and a little girl points at it, and I'm just like, where's that singing coming from? So I have to look around and, oh, there it is, and I get to lean in and have a look at it. There was a time where I was actually, I think I was on the floor on my knees, poking my head through the ship, because there's a section where there's a ship, and I can actually poke my head in the ship and look what's inside the ship.
And you're telling me to not poke my head through the car.
Yeah, well,
hypocrite.
Yeah, in this case, yeah.
Hypocrite.
Bleh. So anyway, let's move on to the next game, which I'm going to give to you, Headmaster,
Uh,
because you played that one.
yeah, and I really wish I didn't, eh?
Why?
Well, that's the thing is, a Headmaster as a game, well, it could work, right? I mean, it should work, and when I got to play, it was fun. The entire thing is, you are playing soccer and you're heading balls into a goal or at targets and stuff. Thing is, there was just too much talking in between each one. It was trying to be clever and funny and cute, kind of like Portal or the Stanley Parable or something, and then putting that in the context of a soccer game. But I'm there to play VR soccer, and then they're just kind of talking to me about stuff I don't care about, and it's not really even explaining the control. Like, it explains the controls, but then the voice out of nowhere talks to you for a while longer. And I think I kind of understand why they put in these big breaks, because after maybe 15 seconds of this game, my neck hurt, because you are trying to headbutt a soccer ball. And it does give you, like, a dummy that shows you the motions you should be making, which isn't like you're trying to head a ball, like heading forwards. It wants you to kind of do it with your whole body so that you don't hurt your neck. But your reflex is to do it like you're playing soccer, which, well, I kind of gave myself a mild case of whiplash quite quickly. I don't know if that's the right way to play soccer. I'm not a soccer player. Perhaps someone who does play soccer could tell me, hey, if I was heading wrong. I probably was. But it was actually a little bit it wasn't making me sick like Thump or anything was, but I was having neck pains by the end of it, purely off I've got this headset on my head, and that's, while it's relatively light, it's not nothing. There is some weight there, and I am knocking my head forwards, and it was hurting.
Sorry, just while you're saying that, funny enough, I said before that it feels really light on your head. It is actually the heaviest of the VR headsets.
That's weird. Well, that makes it worse, though, in that case, because, I mean, if it's the heaviest, well, it doesn't matter whether it's how heavy it is, really. The fact is, it is a non-zero weight on your head, and I am knocking my head forward, trying to hit this virtual ball into a goal. And doing that repeatedly in a short period of time, because I kept kicking balls at my face, it was hurting my neck. So that might be why they had all these long breaks of just talking nonsense to me, to try and alleviate that. It's kind of, take a bit of a break, have us talk nonsense to you for a while. But at the same time, the nonsense they were talking to me wasn't fun. It wasn't interesting. They were trying to be clever, and there were points that were a little bit cute, but at the same time, it's just like, just let me play some soccer, man.
See, I actually think they put that in because the soccer portion by itself would be just boring and bland. So I think they're trying to make it look more like the Stanley Parable or something along those lines, to make it more interesting and fun to play.
Yeah, and I can see that, but the writing just wasn't nearly as good as the Stanley Parable. By the way, if you haven't played the Stanley Parable, play the Stanley Parable. Trust me on this. I'm not going to say any more about it because that would ruin the experience.
Stanley Parable, play it.
I want to play that in VR.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Anyway, so I guess we'll move on to the next VR game, Until Dawn Rush of Blood.
Yes.
Now, this is a funny thing, because Until Dawn is a cinematic horror game. Is that how you put it? Just cinematic horror game?
That's kind of the best way to talk. I mean, like, it's a cinematic horror game. You are guiding a bunch of teenagers in effectively horror tropes. All of the horror movie tropes.
Kind of like point and click?
It'd be a little bit point and click, but I mean,
without the pointing.
You're not really pointing and clicking. You are directly controlling them, and you do have running and running away from monsters
and quick time events.
Yeah, you got quick time events and stuff as well. But you've also got a lot of decision making. If you make the wrong choice, your character's dead, or if you make the wrong choice, some other character's dead. You control everyone at some point.
Yeah, very story heavy. Anyway, so Sony's come up to this developer and gone, "Hey, would you like to make an Until Dawn game for our VR headset?" They went, "Sure, we want to make it an on-rail shooter." And they went, "What?"
Yeah, the world went, what?
So just like, why did you make this decision? But it turns out it was the best decision ever.
It worked.
This is probably the best VR game at the moment on the PlayStation VR.
Yeah?
So, well, yeah, in my opinion, it's probably the most fun.
Well, fair enough. I mean, you've had more experience with the VR than I'm. Like, it was the most fun of the ones I played, but you also have Eve Valkyrie,
which is so far from what I've played, an online multiplayer deathmatch shooting game, like dogfighting game.
Oh, that ruins it.
with microtransactions in it.
Oh, that ruins it. It had potential, and the demo was cool, and then they made it entirely multiplayer online with microtrans. Okay, they
Yeah,
ruined it.
I need to actually look in deeper into it because anyway, I'll talk about that next.
Yeah.
We're in Rush of Blood at the moment. So Rush of Blood is an on-rails shooter, literally on rails because you're in a roller coaster cart. And basically you have characters from the games. They're using pretty much the assets from the game. You've got specifically the guy that was the hunter, I believe it was. I don't remember his name. Anyway, he's basically the guy that talks to you a lot and explains the controls and what's happening story-wise. And then you go on a roller coaster ride as you go through and you shoot things. You get little pea guns to begin with, but as you go on and the horror stuff starts happening and the haunting stuff starts happening, you get different guns. So then you get real pistols. You eventually get shotguns, Uzis, flare guns.
Ooh, flare guns, that'd be fun.
Flare guns are essentially kill everything on the screen.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, and you go through some really just psychological, horrifying stuff. The second level with the pigs,
that's messed up. That level.
It's messed up but beautiful.
Yeah, it's extremely violent. Like it's just lots of pig heads and saws and things being cut open, and it's messed up. It's
just in VR, you're like, holy shit.
Yeah.
It's like, this is fucked up. Like I was freaking out that first time on that level.
Yeah, I was less freaking out, but like I'm pretty good with horror games.
Yeah, I'm not. So I get scared pretty easily. Like jump scares get me really easily. But no, it was quite a lot of fun to play this game. If you decide to pick up a VR headset, definitely get Rush of Blood.
Sweet. As a quick aside, we are going to talk a lot more about horror games at Halloween, so to the point where we'll probably dedicate most of the episode to that because that
spooky skeletons.
Well, yeah, it's topical, and I've been playing some horror games specifically for this, so I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I definitely want more horror games on my VR headset, which I'm not going to pick up Here They Lie, because I've just heard that's really bad. And that's one thing I kind of want to stay away from, is the VR ones where you just teleport around without actually moving. I don't know. I just don't like the idea of that. I know they're trying to reduce motion sickness, but I don't know, it just seems so cheap to me. And that's the thing with VR at the moment. Like, is it going to be able to continue on? Are they going to actually make, some good games for it? It needs some good support at the moment. Like, just VR games in general.
Yeah.
At the moment, a lot of them are just tech demos.
Yeah, and that's kind of the problem. If it just stays in the realm of tech demos, then it's not going to gain traction. It's just going to be an expensive toy that becomes an expensive paperweight, much like all the 3D TVs and stuff, you know? Who uses a 3D function on their TV anymore? I never did, because that shit always gave me headaches, but...
Who owns a 3D TV at the moment? Like, I think... What do I have that's 3D? I don't know, my 3DS. Gotta turn that off.
Yeah.
My computer actually has 3D capability on it. I have 3D glasses that work with it. I used it a few times, and then I went, eh.
Yeah, well, the 3D on my 3DS is actually broken and doesn't work, which is great because, the feature that makes me sick and hurts my head doesn't work. Good.
And yes, my VR headset is in 3D.
Yeah.
And that's probably my best 3D system in here at the moment.
Well, I suppose this brings us to our discussion topic for the week, though.
Yeah, so is VR headsets going to go the way of the 3D TV? Did I say 3D headsets?
You said VR headset, I think. It doesn't.
I don't know.
VR.
Anyway,
is it worth it?
Is it going the way of the dodo?
Yeah.
Going the way of 3D headsets, and even in this case, motion controls, because motion controls are kind of not here anymore either.
Yeah,
they only got another chance at life because of VR.
Yeah, so on the Facebook page, let us know what you think, whether VR will gain traction or not, and why. Now, at this point, we'll spend a little bit of time talking about last week's discussion topic, which was the vigilante groups on Steam. What do people... Well, what do people think about the vigilante groups on Steam that are dogpiling onto things? And pretty much every response was very similar in case of like, as long as they're kind of being careful about what they do and where they do it and what games they do it and all that kind of stuff, then it's fine. But you've got to be very careful, which is the very moderate neutral view. In which case, that's fine. The problem is a lot of them aren't. It's the internet.
Yeah, it's just full of jokes.
Yeah, well, I suppose we just have to see how that goes. As for discussion topics in the future, we are going to currently keep doing them on Facebook for now, but I did find a problem this week where the answers did come back a little bit fractured, where two of them were on the actual post. One of them was on a share I put of the post, so they weren't all together. I'm thinking I will sort out a forum or something for us to have these discussions, and we can probably do it more in depth there to keep it in one place. Yeah. For the time being, we'll just do it on Facebook, but I will come up with a solution so that things don't get fragmented too much and we can actually have back and forth between people.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, this is intended to be to have back and forth and people actually discussing it rather than just say straight up, here's an answer. But I'm glad that people are participating, so that's great.
That's good. It is. Thank you all for participating in our little chats.
Yes. So we've spoken about VR for a long time.
Well, I suppose I just should quickly finish it up on that Eve Valkyrie, since I said I would talk quickly about it.
Very quickly, then.
Very quickly. Eve Valkyrie, I played quite a few hours of it, but the reason why I'm confused if there's a single-player mode or not is because I jumped in, it put me in training mode, did the training mode, and then it straight away threw me into multiplayer matches against bots. And I played a few matches of that. It was fun. Really hard, actually. And yeah, then I was going, wait, so is this it? Am I online? Is this, like, I know it says online only, and then it's like, okay, so I jumped out, and I did see a single player mode, but yeah, I'm a bit confused. So once I learn more about it, I'll let you know, but for the moment, it seems a lot about, its focus is on multiplayer, and it has microtransactions in it for things that I'm not quite sure what for yet. It has something called war chests, so I'm assuming maybe like loot boxes.
Oh, good. That's a shame, because the demo was really cool, and obviously the demo wouldn't have been online, so I would have been perfectly happy for just a campaign of space battles. I mean, if it's a few training missions and entirely online, you need other people to play then, so it's like,
yeah. I'll let you know once I've explored it a little bit more, but as I said, the training mode kicked me straight into multiplayer mode, so I can't be 100% sure.
Well, when a training mode kicks you straight in the multiplayer, that's generally a good sign that it's multiplayer oriented.
Yeah, and yeah, but it's still a lot of fun to play because you're in VR in a spaceship that just the scale of it is awesome.
Yeah. Well, speaking of VR, very quickly before we move off VR onto other news, the PlayStation VR works on other systems.
Yeah, not very well though. It basically puts you in the 2D cinematic view that the PlayStation can do.
Yes.
But the only problem is you don't have the recenter button like the PlayStation does.
Yeah, which would break things pretty quickly. However, my interest in this is purely on the... Remember when I said that someone will probably hack it and make it work on PC properly?
Yeah.
Well, it's already partway there in that you can see it, and people have been able to use it as a virtual desktop screen. So... that's it's already partway there. So if someone goes and hacks it and makes it work on PC, then I might be able to play Serious Sam VR using a PSVR. By the way, Serious Sam VR is a thing. It's in early access, and I want it.
Nice. Yeah, because essentially, I guess all this is another monitor.
Yeah, that's exactly how it treats it. The Windows treats it as an extra monitor, and you can move all your desktop stuff on there. And I mean, you don't get a lot of the things that the PlayStation does with it. None of it is just the cinematic screen modes, as if you've got a big screen in front of you. But, it's a start. The modders have something to work with already. It's probably that they've got a bit of a head start compared to what they thought they would have got.
Yeah. Well, we'll see where it goes, because, if that does become a thing, then I will definitely be doing it. Yep.
Speaking of games I would love to play in VR... that probably won't happen. I'm going to make this week's obligatory Monster Hunter reference, in that I want to play Monster Hunter in VR.
Yeah, I'm a bit sad. My 3DS, I think the C stick is broken, so I'm sad.
Well, I'm taking a break from Monster Hunter at the moment anyway, because I keep losing every hunt because I keep solo hunting like a jerk. So I'm taking a break and playing Azure Striker Gunvolt.
See, yeah, like I could play without the C stick, but I don't want to. Like I'm so used to playing with it now, it feels odd without it.
Yeah, you might need to get a new DS if
Nah,
it's busted, or get a
no,
repair.
yeah, EB says they can refurbish it for $99, so I'll probably have to do that.
That seems like a thing you could do.
Anyway, let's move on to something a little happier. Do we have something happier?
Eh, we're a little
Go
bit
on.
a little bit. Well, I've got two more news things and then a few games that we played. So there is some happier.
Okay.
There's happier in the games. So we'll go through the news because we've been talking mostly about the game stuff, and I'll blast both of them really quickly. Right?
Okay, let's go.
This one not very happy for me. Maybe happy for some people. The Final Fantasy VII remake that is on its way. It has now had actual confirmation from the people developing it that we're not using the old battle system. It's going to be an actual battle, action-oriented battle, which looked like in the trailers, but now they've actually come out and said we're not using the ATB system from Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah, like I guess I already assumed that from watching the trailers. Like it seems really obvious to me, and they're constantly saying that they don't want to remake Final Fantasy VII. They want to make this modern version because basically, if you want to play Final Fantasy VII, it's still there, and there's fantastic mods on it that do upgrade it quite a bit now. Like not obviously to the levels of this new one, but yeah, if you want to play the original Final Fantasy, it's still there. It's always going to be there.
And I mean,
So they're saying this one is going to be like it's going to be kind of a like they're going to change things, they're going to add things. From what they said, like the whole first episode, it's just going to be Midgard. You're going to be able to see Midgard from just different point of views that you never were able to see it before.
well, yeah, I mean, honestly, we didn't. I mean, we saw this coming a long way away, but that doesn't mean that I'm not at least a little bit sad. I did want to see ATB battles, you know. But
Yeah, well,
but
that seems to be the way Final Fantasy is going now. They're going more action
yeah,
oriented.
yeah.
It's
If
more
I want to
this-
play new real Final Fantasy games, it's going to be Bravely Default.
Yeah, it seems their spin-off games is where they go for classic JRPG games.
Yeah, it was funny to see that Square was surprised by the success of Bravely Default. It's like, well, you shouldn't be. You saw how well Final Fantasy sold when it played like that, and for some reason, you decided to make it an action RPG now. But that's an entirely different discussion. Now, the other news bit I have for this week is this week's Why Is This a Thing?
Why is this a thing?
And this one is a little bit political. Okay, it's entirely
I don't like political.
It's entirely political, but I'm going to keep it short. So, everyone in Australia who has paid any attention to anything will know the name Pauline Hanson.
I don't like it because kids used to call me Pauline Hanson in school, and it was mean, and I cried.
Really?
No, I didn't cry. I'm a man.
No, I mean, people actually called you Pauline Hanson?
Yeah, because my name is Paul, so obviously
Bloody
obviously-
hell.
the smartest thing was just to go, "Hi, Pauline Hanson." It's like, fuck you.
Oh, that's shit. That's actually shit.
So anyway, yes.
Well, if there's anyone from overseas who's listening, Pauline Hanson is a politician here who leads the One Nation Party, and basically she's extremely racist and xenophobic. That's all you need to know. That's all you need to know. Honestly, she's an awful human being. Now, the reason she's come up here is because we have awful internet in Australia. And she has joined the NBN Co in an attempt to get us better internet in Australia. So basically this week's Why Is This a Thing is that this xenophobic, racist, bigoted, awful human being is doing something I actually agree with, in that we should get better internet. Now, funnily enough, she tweeted about this, and it was entirely like, oh yeah, there are kids in rural areas with weak internet, and they're being beaten in video games by kids in other countries, and that is unacceptable. Which I can't help but laugh at. It's like we're putting her racism and bigotry to good use in potentially getting us better internet. It's like we're doing. She might achieve some good through like putting her just No. What?
Uh,
Why? What?
but yeah, our
How?
internet's already been skewed as it is.
Yeah.
We're already getting this crap that we should be getting. Like, our NBN is out of date before it even gets installed.
Yeah, it was gutted. But again, that's getting too political. Basically, why is this a thing? This horrible bigoted person doing something good for a change. Alright, let's move on to literally anything else. I've played quite a few different games this week. We'll try and keep it relatively short because we are starting to hit the hour mark very soon, I believe.
Yes, very soon.
Or already. Either or. Anyway, so I played 3, or I was going to say new games. They're not. One of them is really new, another one is kind of new, and the third one is definitely not new because the sequel's coming out very soon. We'll start with that one. So, this game was suggested to me by Soulmaster Kaze on Twitter. Hello. This game is called Cook, Serve, Delicious.
Yes, I know this one.
Yes, so it's an indie game about running a restaurant. And basically the idea is, between days, you need to pick what's on your menu on the restaurant, try to generate some buzz with your menu items. They've all got penalties and bonuses to them. So, for example, beer. Everyone likes beer, and it's an item that will not go out of vogue ever. However, your restaurant is in an office building, and so people frown upon serving alcohol in an office building. So there's your penalty. You lose a little bit of buzz for each alcoholic item. Oh, buzz for your restaurant, not buzz for alcohol. But you lose some of your restaurant's buzz as a result of serving alcohol in an office tower. But it's also something that will never penalize you for being reused over and over and over. Meanwhile, you might get, say, the lasagna. And that's one where people will tip big because it's a complicated meal and it's more expensive, so people will pay more for it as a result. However, it is a complicated meal, so it will take you a bit longer to cook, or it's more easy to get wrong. And after a couple of days, you'll get what's called menu rot, where if you keep the same menu items on for too long, it'll decrease buzz to your restaurant because people get bored with it. So you've got to try and have this juggling act of penalties and bonuses, because the more buzz you have for your restaurant, the more people are going to come visit, and more people are going to pay you.
Yep, so I actually did play this game as well. So another thing that you have to do while playing this game, along with balancing food items, you also have to balance cleaning your restaurant. So cleaning dishes, taking out the trash, setting up mouse traps.
And
stuff
flushing
like
the
that.
toilet because your customers can't be bothered flushing it themselves.
Flushing
Disgusting
the toilet's probably
bastards.
the easiest thing you do. You press like down and then enter and you're done.
Yes, and all of this is done in kind of real time. So when you're playing in the actual restaurant, customers will come in, you take their order, you cook their order based on what it is. So if they come in for a salad and they ask you for specific things on it, you put them all on, serve it, easy. If it's lasagna, you got to put the stuff on it, and then you got to put it in the oven, and that's going to sit in the oven for a while. And if you serve it to them from the oven too quickly, it's undercooked and you get a bad review. If you leave it too long, it gets burnt, you get a bad review. If you put the wrong stuff on, you might get a bad review. If you get it to them perfect, it's good, and that will affect the buzz as well for more, whether you get more or fewer customers later on. And you got some menu items that sell better in the morning, some that sell better in the evening. There's a lot to the game. It's one that I thought it was kind of silly. I immediately went into it thinking McDonald's simulator, and
It gets quite hectic quite fast.
And that, in which case, it is McDonald's simulator. It reminded me of my time during the lunch rush. You do get your lunch and dinner rushes in this game as well. But at the same time, it's still kind of compelling and interesting. It's a lot more fun. And I did an impromptu stream test of this on Thursday last week. There's video of me playing this up on YouTube. I moved it across after the stream ended, so there is footage of me playing this on the interwebs.
So I suppose it's a good time to introduce our YouTube channel, the Consolables.
Yeah, we'll reiterate it at the end when we talk about everything, but we have started up a YouTube channel, and we are aiming to get at least one video each up fortnightly, was it?
We'll try our best.
Well, the aim is to get one each fortnightly minimum. I'm going to set a personal goal of one a week, but that might not happen. And we'll have some videos will be just me, some will be just Paul, some will be both of us. So look forward to that.
Yep, I would have had 2 up this weekend, but my PlayStation 4 won't upload anything.
Ugh.
How dare you?
That's technical difficulties that we're sorting out, but, you know, as with anything, we'll improve.
Yes.
there's an announcement. So there are a couple of videos up already. So take a look at that when you want to, and if you don't want to, do it anyway. So 2 more games that I played with, but we'll get to that in a minute. Did you play anything else you want to talk about?
No, I really want to mention at the moment. I just downloaded a game that I want to play at the moment. After we finish this, I'm going to World of Final Fantasy.
Yeah, so I'm going to slave away editing this thing, and you're going to go play video games, you jerk.
Yeah, essentially. But to be fair, I slaved away for the first time this weekend editing that video for us.
Yeah, you're on video editing duty some of it anyway. Well, yes. So I'll talk about the other 2 games I played over the weekend. Very briefly, I played Shadow Warrior 2 last night, which just came out.
Yes.
Now, Shadow Warrior, the first-person shooter where you play as, I guess, a Chinese-American guy. His name is Lo Wang. Yeah.
The inner child in me is laughing. It's coming out.
Yeah, well, they did that on purpose. I mean, it seems that they're starting a trend with their games in that, like, the intro always has him answering the phone with, "You got Wang." So and I mean, they go balls deep in the Wang joke all the way through the game. Like, seriously. Yep, there was my own Wang joke. But I mean, I think there was like Wang. I think they called it Wang House or something, which was his home in Shadow Warrior 2.
Oh God.
Yeah. I've gone on hard mode in this one purely because it's called You've Got Wang. No, it's called Who Wants
Wang House.
Actually, it was called Who Wants Some Wang. Was hard mode on this. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna play hard mode straight off the bat for the first time ever.
You amateur. You
whatever.
nub.
Anyway, so the first Shadow Warrior was, I was gonna say standard FPS fare, but it really isn't. It's like it's a normal FPS, but you get special demon powers. You fight with swords and guns. You're fighting demons and yakuza. And there's lots of, very violent, a lot of fun, a lot of high immersion, high octane action. In the second one, it feels more like Borderlands.
Really?
Yeah, you actually level up. You get loot drops. Your guns have different stats. You can attach artifacts you get to your guns and your swords. And yeah, it's actually Borderlands, and it's co-op.
Is there a gun that goes reloading?
Not that I've found yet, but I did get the pre-order bonus because they had a few pre-order bonuses, so I pre-ordered it and I got a discount because I had the first game. So one of the pre-order bonuses was a chainsword, very Warhammer.
Oh, chainsword.
Yeah, so it's a chainsaw sword.
Nice.
And
I suppose.
Well, when you start, slicing someone up with it, it has this kind of stop. The animation has a brief stop before it starts chewing through the flesh of your enemy. It's quite gruesome and satisfying. It's messed up. It's really cool.
Okay.
I love it. And
cool factor over practicality.
The cool factor is over 9,000. Well, no, it does a lot of damage too. It's actually the most heavy damaging weapon I have at the moment, and I have a shotgun that I put fire in, so it has elemental damage as well. So it's very much got the Borderlands feel to it as well. Or Borderlands in terms of game systems with the loot and the leveling up and skills and all that kind of stuff, but it's got its own style. Like it's still got its silly demon jokes, and you've got a random Chinese woman in your head because you do. That is, well, it's explained in the story. You don't start with a random Chinese woman in your head, but go through the first couple of missions and that happens. And so it looks like there is some 4-player co-op. I haven't gotten to play more than an hour and a half or so of it, but what I've played of it so far it's good. Who wants some Wang? I want some Wang.
Sounds like I'll be downloading some Wang.
Well, we'll play some co-op. It'll be sick. It's a lot of fun. And well, the intro starts with him driving in a car, answering the phone with you got Wang, and the radio's playing You Got the Touch. So there's your opening gambit. This game is cool.
Nice. Yeah, I'll probably give it a go.
Now, the third new game that I've been playing, or new-ish game, I tried Paladins out.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I know a little bit about this. I've watched some YouTube videos, but I already got my game that I play, Overwatch, and I just can't be bothered, starting another one.
And to be honest, stick with Overwatch. So I'm gonna talk a bit more about it because I as much as there is like all these comparison videos and stuff online, I prefer to experience it myself so I can form my own opinion, right?
Yeah.
And because Paladins costs literally nothing, I'm like, I'll give it a go. I keep hearing the comparisons to Overwatch where it's literally the same as Overwatch, and I was making that joke a lot while I was playing it, but it's really not the same, hey. I played 3 matches because it honestly didn't hold my attention for any longer than 3 matches. I lost patience quite quickly.
Yeah, from what I understand, like, sure, it has a few kits that are similar to Overwatch, but the characters are different, and it's just like any game. Like some games will have similar kits and abilities to other games.
Well, you're always going to have that kind of thing happen. I mean, you've got Victor, the soldier, who plays quite a bit like Soldier 76, but
They're
not
both
quite.
generic soldiers. They're both supposed to be like Halo, Call of Duty type
Yeah,
soldiers.
they are their versions of COD Guy, and they are still different from each other in that, like, for example, okay, they both can sprint like COD Guy can. Soldier 76 can heal himself. Victor cannot. Now, to be fair, in Paladins, if you're not in combat for a few seconds, like if there's no combat going on, you regenerate your health quite quickly. It just straight up goes, okay, you're not fighting, here, have your health back. So,
Okay.
like, I think it's trying to encourage more combat, but, you know. Right click for Soldier 76 in Overwatch, shoots some rockets. Right click for Victor is iron sights. You can actually zoom in. Soldier 76, it hasn't occurred to him to do that. With Soldier 76's auto, uses his visor to auto aim and annihilate everything that you kind of just point in the general direction of. Victor's ultimate is he actually calls in artillery strikes. So, you know, there are differences and things, but the biggest difference I found was the gameplay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, aside from, oh, I'm playing a guy who has abilities much like people in Paladins. I'm sorry, in Overwatch. Regardless, the
hero shooter genre, like Team Fortress 2, Overwatch, and Paladins, and Battleborn.
well, yes. So playing Paladins, like the game mode, I played 3 matches. 2 of them were on the same map. One of them was on a different map, but they both had the same. They all had the same game mode. I don't know if there are any more game modes, but from what I experienced, it is purely capture a point. Once you capture that point, you have the payload. Push the payload to the other team's base, and then it resets, and you got to capture the point again. But it is both of you are fighting over the one point, much like the King of the Hill maps in Overwatch. But whoever captures it then has the payload to push. So it's sort of like a success. You get to the next point of the goal. It doesn't matter if you fail at pushing the payload though, because then that gives you a point to the other team. It's I think it was best of 5 or something. I'm not sure. It's honestly, the game felt very unpolished to me. It's still in beta, but like, comparing the beta of Overwatch to the beta of Paladins, Overwatch was far more polished in beta than Paladins feels like it will ever be.
To be fair, it's got Blizzard behind it, so yeah, of course it's going to be super polished and, you know, like, decent.
While that's true, I would expect a decent job out of high-res studios as well, who have Tribes, they have Smite, they have... What else do they have? Well, they have Tribes and Smite, at the very least.
Yeah.
So... And I mean, it seems like they're killing Tribes, but... I mean, regardless.
It's funny that I completely forgot that High Res is the one making this game as well.
Well, yeah. Anyway, having played this, I played 3 matches, and the thing is, there's a lot of little things that feel like they should be done better, and basically from, you know, they've lifted a lot of things from other games. I mean, what game doesn't, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, the ability of every champion having abilities and things, that's not new. I mean, you see that in MOBAs, you see that in Team Fortress, etc., right?
Right.
What I haven't seen in a game where you have skills for your champions is the inability to see what those skills are in-game.
Yeah, Overwatch has that. You press, I think, F1 and it shows you everything.
So you go to Overwatch, you hold F1, it shows you what your skills do. You play any MOBA, you mouse over your HUD at the bottom, it tells you what your skills do. Paladins? Nah. Nothing. I was pressed every key on the keyboard, I went to the controls to see if it had like an overlay or something like that. Nah. You can look at it in the champion stuff before you enter a game. So when you're in the menus, you can go look at all the champions you've got unlocked and all their kits and all that kind of stuff, and you can see what their abilities are. But the thing is, like, okay, so if I'm gonna have to pick the champions I'm gonna play and learn what they do beforehand, because if I get into a game without having read because there's no guarantee I'm going to get to play the person I want because, I might not get the role I want. I'm not going to play like a jerk. I'm like, oh, I'm a Hanzo main. I can only play Hanzo, like Overwatch. Certain players in Overwatch do. I'm gonna fill the role that needs filling. So like, cool. There was a character I wanted to play. I read her abilities, got to the thing. She was already taken. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna pick this guy who looks like he's walked out of Ratchet and Clank. Apparently he's support. I had no idea what he did. We still won by a large margin, and I had the highest score. I'm like, I don't know what I did.
Question: can you swap champions on the go like in Overwatch?
Nope.
Okay.
Or if you can, I haven't found the ability. And the thing is and that's kind of what I'm getting at in that their UI and their presentation and none of that. Like, okay, graphically it's fine, whatever, it looks kind of cool, whatever. But in terms of like friendliness to the user, that is not there in any way, shape, or form. It shows very deeply. Like, I can't see what my abilities are. Like, I can see whether they're on cooldown. I've got the little icons for them, but it doesn't tell me what those abilities are, and there was no button for me to find out. So I couldn't go, I'm playing Symmetra for the first time. Remind me what Shift does, or anything like that. It's like, no, I can't do that. I'm just press it and hope. So when I was playing this support guy, I've forgotten, Kip, I think his name was, or something like that. Anyway, he looks like Ratchet from Ratchet and Clank, right? And it's support. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to guess that my left click appears to be shooting potions out of my gun. So I'm going to guess that like, and I was killing enemies with it. So I'm going to guess that it heals allies and hurts enemies, kind of like Anna from Overwatch.
Yeah.
After I finished the game, turns out it only hurts enemies. There's no healing on that. The only healing ability that particular support character has is his Q, which heals everyone nearby. That was obvious from its animation, where it had like green plus signs appear near me. So that was easy enough to figure out.
Yeah.
His ultimate is hilarious in that it turns whoever you target with it into a chicken. That was fun. But the one that particularly impressed me, the game I played was I played as a character named Grover. I refuse to call him Grover. He is Groot. You're a tree. And
yeah, I think I saw him. He's a support.
Yeah.
But he looks kind of tanky, but...
He's a tanky support, and on top of that, like, here's the ironic, funny moment I had with him. He's a big tree. His weapon is axes. He throws axes. How messed up is that? It's a tree throwing axes at people, and the further the axes travel, the more damage they do when they hit. So I'm playing this tree guy, and I was fortunate enough that I did read his abilities before I got in the match. I'm like, okay, I'm going to try and be Groot. And I got to be Groot, so that was good. And he's got a passive heal.
Okay. Yeah,
kind of like Lucio in Overwatch. Be near your teammate, they will heal. And then you can activate it to do a burst heal, and it'll go down for a while, for cooldown. And then I'm throwing axes at people, my regular ones, and the further they go, the more damage they do. I've got a crippling axe, which slowed people or something like that when I hit them with it. And then my ultimate ability, this is where I had to laugh again. Again, the Overwatch comparison. His ultimate is like Zenyatta's ultimate, where you just put out ridiculous amounts of healing and float around really quickly.
Okay.
And unlike Zenyatta, instead of saying experience tranquility, instead you're a tree, so you're like, spring is here, or something like that.
Right.
So I posted a screenshot on Facebook after this particular game where I played as Grover, because I had the highest healing out of both teams. I had more damage than the entire other team, and had the most coins earned on my team. So MVP on my third game of Paladins ever, and first time playing that character. So I don't know whether I was just being matched with people who don't know how to play because I was pretty new, or just all I know is I did really well with very little knowledge of what I was doing.
I'm going to say you just matched up with noobs, because that's how I got a really high score in Battle Right, because there's no way I'm good at that game.
Yeah, fair enough.
But I somehow got like MVP once.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, anyway, my general assessment of Paladins is it's not the same as Overwatch. It shares many similarities, but if you are going to devote your time to one hero shooter, don't make it Paladins. It's like, unless you can't afford to go get the other ones, then Overwatch is probably the one you'd want to pick. It's more fun. It's got I don't know, it's just got more. It felt like it had more personality as well. Like, you've got all these characters, but they didn't feel fleshed out. It's missing all of this stuff. I was wondering why on my champions list it had all of these champions with locks on them, right? Much like League of Legends or something. You start with a few characters and you got to unlock the others.
Yeah.
It let me play as all the locked ones.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Didn't you say it was because it's like a special weekend deal where you got to play them all?
That is exactly what I'd said. It turns out it was a free weekend where you could play as any of the characters. However, nowhere in the game did it tell me this. Like, you go to the front, it's got all these things. It's like, okay, go to this and learn how to play as support. Go to this and learn how the cards work. Go to this and learn how this works. But nothing that says, hey, it's free weekend, you can play as any champion you like. So I was thoroughly confused when I've just like picked a random face on the character select, locked in my character, played it, and then went to my champion thing after to see what I've earned for that character. And it's gone, okay, you've earned this stuff for this character, but you haven't unlocked the character. I'm like, then why did you just let me play it? Nowhere in game was I aware that it was free weekend, and it took me half an hour of research outside of the game to find that out. And that's just like, yeah, like I searched, why can I play all the champions when they're locked? And it just came up telling me which characters were unlocked for free. And I'm like, that doesn't answer my question. And it took more digging, and it ended up going to like an unofficial wiki or something that pointed it out to me. So it's like, that was weird. I feel like they really need to improve if they want to compete with Overwatch, which honestly, considering all the comparisons, they need to compete with Overwatch, right? They need to increase like the user friendliness of their game. I've gone in there and just kind of gone like, and I mean, I'm not new to games, I'm not new to code, I'm not new to any of this stuff. But when I couldn't figure out why I could play these things, like I thought the game was legitimately broken, that it was letting me play locked characters. It felt like a glitch that I was allowed to pick these people.
Well, I'm going to throw down the little bit of information I actually do know about Paladins is something unique to it is some of the abilities have special modifiers on them. So the one I actually do know is, I think there's a frog that can fly, kind of like Farah in the game.
I vaguely remember seeing a lizard guy who had
a lizard guy maybe.
It appeared to be a lizard guy, and looking at his list, I'm like, hey, that's playing tribes. So Farah.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So he can do a jump, fly type move like Farah does, and that actually adds a modifier to it. Going, you now deal a percentage extra amount of damage for the next 6 seconds after you use this ability.
Yeah, I saw a lot of stuff like that, and it also depends on your cards and things, but that's going a lot in depth into a bunch of systems that, frankly, we probably don't really have time for.
Yeah, we're really getting close to that end now.
We're way over time, and honestly, the game doesn't interest me enough to play it any more than the 3 matches I played. I'm not going back to Paladins, so don't bother to add me on Paladins if you play it.
I'm adding you to Paladins on my non-existent account.
Okay. Wait, do you have a Smite account?
Yes.
You have a Paladins account.
Damn it!
Unified. Well, I think that's about time to wrap it up. I mean, we've talked about everything. And I mean everything.
Whew.
Ever.
Yeah, there's lots. And we probably could still just keep talking for more, but then this podcast will never end, and I'll never go get to play World of Final Fantasy.
Maybe I should keep you here.
With its chibi cuteness.
Yeah, I can't keep you away from chibi cuteness. Paul, where can people find you?
They can find me on Twitter at Magaslight. MAGACLITE. Have fun with that.
Yep, that's about right. You can find me on Twitter as well at Kalgar, Kalgar. And you can find us on Facebook and on YouTube now. I will put the links to those on the show notes. They are both just inconsolables, so that's a thing. I removed the dashes for the YouTube channel, I believe, just to make it easier for people to type it if they need be.
Yep, so look us up. We are the Inconsolables. See you later.
Yep. Bye.
Fare thee well.